Just leaving the Grand Army Plaza at the Plaza Hotel, approaching Fifth Avenue.
Walking around, continuing our explorations of Manhattan, back at Midtown, crossing Fifth Avenue, Madison Avenue. There's sidewalk cafes. Even in October, the weather was lovely, and dogs are out for a stroll here on the Upper East Side. This is the elegant neighborhood where a lot of very affluent people live. Very exclusive townhouses near Fifth Avenue and Central Park. It's like their own backyard.
Now the IBM building is just down a block, and it has indoor atrium. We're now visiting the Sony building. This was formerly the AT&T building, designed by Philip Johnson. Sony bought it, renamed the tower the Sony building. We're right at Madison Avenue, and we're at 55th Street next to the IBM building. It's really quite a remarkable tower, and at the top there's the famous Chippendale roof.
This neighborhood has one of the best collection of interesting skyscrapers to be found any place in the world. Park Avenue, a mix of residential and commercial spaces. Behind the hot dog stand, we have the famous Seagram Building, constructed in 1958, one of the first of the great modern glass boxes. And here we have an eclectic mix of neoclassical architecture and modernist and postmodernist, all coming together here along Park Avenue. And now we're on Madison Avenue, one of my favorite walks in New York. It's got some interesting stores, it's got a lot of fascinating people to observe. The Olympic Tower nearby is one of the great apartment buildings of the city. Looks like a steamship is underground here somewhere, and a neo-Gothic building thrown into the mix in this Midtown melange. Le Cirque 2000, one of the top restaurants in the city. Dinner here will cost you about $80 per person, and it's worth it for one of the superb gourmet treats. You'll find a lot of great restaurants in New York, and a lot of inexpensive ones as well. The Chrysler Building, briefly the world's tallest structure until it was eclipsed by the Empire State Building. Great center of learning, the New York Public Library.
And this is the greatest public library in the world. The entire library system has about 120 different branches, and there's 9 million books in the whole system, 15 million documents and pamphlets and such. And this is not a lending library here. This is a research library. We're going to go inside and have a look at the reading room and some of the interior, and you can sit down and rest if you like, and there's also toilets in there that you can use too. Their card catalogs are all very modern here in the New York Library. It's all computerized. Into the main reading room of the library. Real scholarly place. The library is open to the general public. Everybody is welcome to come in and study, but you cannot check books out of here because this is a research library. And behind it is Bryant Park, which has really been cleaned up in the last 10 years. An amazing transformation has taken place at Bryant Park. At lunch, it's popular for picnics, and evening you can have dinner on the terrace. That's Grand Central Station. Grand Central, we'll go inside, is a huge rotunda. It's a huge room filled with empty space, which is a premium in New York City. They don't like empty space. They want to fill it up with floors and stores. But Grand Central still has that vast spaciousness. And you see the exterior. This is in what's called the Beaux-Arts style. So it's neoclassical with the columns and the sculptural detail. This building was in danger of being knocked down and replaced with a more efficient office tower. But Jackie Kennedy and Brendan Behan were the two people who got together and they saved it. So this too, it's based on a Roman bathhouse, like the baths of Caracalla. And then we saw a train come right through the main room. On our walks, we also like to have a look at some of the fancier hotel lobbies. Go ahead. The beautiful Waldorf. You can't beat the Waldorf Astoria for old world elegance. Nice place to sit down and rest and use the facilities. It's quite the crystal chandelier they've got. And here we're in the largest hotel atrium in the world. It's the Marriott, right at Times Square.
An amazing interior space. It's all air conditioned. Eating for the tourists can be a bit of a rush job. As you can see here, the classic approach to save time, grab a sandwich on the run.
Well, salute.
There's a great dining experience to be enjoyed at Il Circo, which is operated by the three sons of Manhattan's most famous restaurateur, Sergio Macchioni, who also operates La Cirque 2000. A little less expensive here at Il Circo. Or you can eat on the cheap at a cafeteria, a bakery, or a deli like the Stage Delicatessen across the street from our hotel, the Wellington. Today we're going to go down to Lower Manhattan. We're going to take the subway right from here. Today we're going to do a rather comprehensive walking tour of Lower Manhattan. We get in the subway, which is conveniently located right on the corner by our hotel, and it's going to take us down to the southern tip of Lower Manhattan, down to Battery Park City, and here we're going to catch the ferry boat out to the Statue of Liberty, the great symbol of freedom and the symbol of America. It was dedicated in 1886. It was shipped over in 214 individual crates. And you can see Ellis Island. You can get off at Ellis Island, which we're going to do. And then you can go take a stroll around the Immigration History Museum at Ellis Island. This is where a huge percentage of Americans first arrived from Europe. They had to pass through Ellis Island. They were given an examination, a physical. They were questioned. Their luggage was searched by the customs people. And then usually within a few hours, they were sent on their way into New York City to become brand new Americans. And it's all here on display for you at Ellis Island. It's recently been renovated, and it's a free exhibit that's just loaded with really interesting historical information, including here the main examining room where hearings were conducted for the questionable people. We also caught this temporary exhibit on the internment of America's Japanese during World War II. Ellis Island was opened for business in 1892, and huge streams of immigrants came through here. It's estimated about 12 million immigrants came through. The boats leave regularly, about every half hour, so it's very easy to get from Battery Park out to Ellis Island. While you're down in Lower Manhattan, you might stop in here to the Museum of the American Indian. Constructed in what's called the Beaux-Arts style, which is turn of the century, late 19th century, neoclassical with those Corinthian columns. It has a nice but small display, the canyons of Lower Manhattan and Wall Street. We're stopping for a lunch break. There's a lot of sandwich shops in the neighborhood that cater to the thousands of office workers here. So now we're looking up Broad Street, and you can actually see the New York Stock Exchange from here with the flags and the triangular pediment. It looks like a Greek temple to money. So all of these buildings here are related to banking and finance. It's just the power of banking is something that we don't realize in our daily lives. But they have so much to do with what goes on in the world.
This is the New York Stock Exchange Agency Auction Market, the world's premier equities marketplace.
This is called Federal Hall. And you see the statue out front of George Washington. This is where he took the oath of office as our first president. What was the first capital of America? Philadelphia. New York. New York. It's right there. That's the location of the first Capitol building. Most people think that Philadelphia or Washington was the first American capital. But no, it was here first in 1780, and then it moved to Philadelphia for a few years, and then finally down to Washington. Right here is a model of the first Capitol building. So we continue our walking tour going over to Trinity Church. And we caught a little lunchtime concert at Trinity Church. Trinity is the oldest church in New York, and it's constructed in that neo-Gothic style. Owns a lot of property nearby. It's a marvelous structure. At one point, imagine it was the highest tower on Manhattan, 290 feet high.